recently have been getting a bunch of leaks as to when Pokemon Winds and Waves will actually release. And of course, we know that it's an official 2027 release, but specifically, when is it going to come out? The first half of the year or the second half of the year? Of course, this is a huge game. It's a 5-year gap in between the last generation, which is pretty crazy. And the next trailer that we do get for this game, which is probably going to be Pokemon Day of 2027, most likely will actually give us the specific date. But like I said, we do have actual leaks about when this game should be releasing around. So typically, the big generation games release around November-ish. That's about average for, like Gen 8 and Gen 9. We have this awesome chart that shows you basically every single big generation release. But things were a little bit different with ZA. That game was released in October, right? Social Art basically said that he thinks that Winds and Waves will actually release a bit earlier than that November 2027 release date, because if we're going with this weird marketing schedule again, the release and development ZA and Woah seem similar. Both were internally delayed. If you guys don't remember, Winds and Waves was originally going to be releasing in 2025, and then it was 2026, and now of course it's 2027 obviously. And all of these we've been getting recently, and the rumors have been claiming that we're not going to be getting another trailer for this game probably until Pokemon Day of 2027, which things could always change. I still feel like it is possible we're going to get another trailer this year, but I'm just going based on the leaks from very reputable sources here. And also, quick side note, make sure to subscribe to the channel and turn the post notifications on, and hype up the video if you don't mind to help me reach my goal of 50,000 subscribers. And also let me know when you think this game is going to be releasing. Alright, let's get right back to it though. Soul is also saying if Winds and Waves is following the ZA's promotional development cycle, Winds and Waves could release in September early or October, which technically is still that late 2027 kind of ish date that Riddler Coup and many other leakers and reputable sources have been coming out to say. In my head, I feel like anything late 2027 could be September, October, and I definitely do not think it's going to be December. It just wouldn't be December. That would be way too late for them, in my opinion. And if it is going to follow that ZA release style where it's announced for Pokemon Day and then the next trailer literally comes out the next Pokemon Day, like that's insane. They would usually take about 3 years of development time for each generation, having 2 added years, meaning they could finish that a bit earlier than usual and release the games relatively close to that holiday market, which is interesting. He said that because we have had leaks recently claiming that the game is finished content-wise. Like, the content of the game is done. They're just doing optimization, which is weird, is sketchy kind of, but if that's true, this better be an amazing game. They better actually give us a game with 0 bugs, 0 glitches. If they literally have a year and a half to actually just focus on optimization only. The first trailer of the game was 30 FPS. I do think the game will release at 60 FPS. I know Champions is 30, but that's a little bit different because it's not as big of a game. You know, Generation 10 is huge. It's going to be one of the flagship Switch 2 games. So, I feel like it will be 60 FPS for sure. If you guys have been following the leaks recently, we also do have other rumors and leaks out there saying that the DLC is already in production. So, maybe the DLC for this game could literally come out basically right after the game, just like how it was with ZA. The ZA DLC was actually supposed to be a 2025 summer release, but because ZA itself was pushed back from 2024 to 2025, they had to put out that DLC about 2 months after the game. And we do have a game called Codename Zeus, which we think could potentially be the DLC of Winds and Waves. Maybe it's going to be in Greece. That would be pretty cool. But I also don't think we have confirmation that the codename actually is the DLC specifically. Although I could be wrong. But I had a thought about that ZA DLC because, yeah, they were supposed to release that in summer of 2025 because the game was supposed to come out earlier and everything. But what if they also were releasing that DLC early because of the fact that they thought that Winds and Waves is still coming out in 2026? So they decided to just get the DLC out there and then Winds and Waves would come out pretty much shortly after. But of course, now Winds and Waves was delayed again internally relatively recently to that Pokemon Presents date. Basically, to summarize this entire thing, it does seem like this game will actually most likely release September, October, or November, but I could definitely see it releasing in October. Just like Pokemon Legends ZA, especially the fact that it's been delayed and they will be done with the game like completely pretty soon if I had to imagine. If they're already starting the DLC, we have leaks about the content of the game being done. It seems like it definitely could be adding up to be a little bit earlier of a release rather than that typical November schedule. We also have this leak right here about the professor. So we had this riddle from Moot a few days ago, and you know, it's very interesting. So we all kind of assumed, yeah, it has stuff to do with time travel. This is from Gravity Falls, and I believe this is from Zelda right here, and it's basically time travel, right? But it seems like people have figured it out. So this is a actual leaked photo right here of the real professor of the game. Like, this is internally from the Game Freak documents what the professor will actually look like. If you can see right here, I never noticed this. You can see a little unibrow right here, and then then his huge mustache. There also seems to be hands of a clock traveling in between the two, and both characters are related to some form of time travel in their respective source material. The blue N hair and the face is also something added, but the professor we know has short gray hair. In Moot's last post, N represented a young champion, so using that logic is the same idea but with a different character. And what's interesting is Ball Guy responded to this and said Yamogi or Yamagi, which essentially is actually a Japanese mugwort, and Pokemon love to actually name the professors after plants. So could this new professor that we already have like a leaked photo of, could this professor actually be named Yamogi or Yamagi? Because if his name is going to be a plant name, of course, as it usually is, we actually may have just cracked the code of like kind of the story behind this professor being some sort of time traveler, and his name might be Yamagi. Because Ball Guy also did leak the name of Navi or Navi from the new Pokemon Horizons arc a while ago before we even knew her name. So Ball Guy is very reputable. He has given us a lot of stuff in the past, and I think this next trailer will actually give us the professor. I think it will show off the professor in full and the release date. So that's basically this whole video is, yo, we got these brand new leaks right here specifically connecting the dots between these two photos, which we knew were connected, but we didn't know how. But you could see the different accents from that professor's face are connected. And of course, time travel, it makes sense, right? And of course, in Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, we had the Paradox Pokemon, which was, related to that time travel kind of concept. So they're probably going to bring that over. I don't know if they're going to give us Paradox Pokemon again. I feel like probably not, but it is definitely possible. Or maybe this character could be somehow connected to Scarlet and Violet or Paldea in one way or another. Or I'd be very curious to see how this professor actually interacts with Pokemon and the environment. And I really think that the second trailer is going to show off a bunch of brand new Pokemon. That's basically what that video is with Jzar tomorrow, because we even have more stuff to talk about as far as the brand new Pokemon goes. The Pokedex for this game should be very diverse. Like, the Pokemon should be really cool. There should be a pretty good amount of new mons because the map is going to be huge. It's a huge game. So the Pokemon, man, the Pokemon reveals should be awesome. And based on Southeast Asia, that's where the game is. That just sounds awesome. I think that's such a cool part of the real, map and the globe in real life. So putting that into a Pokemon form sounds like it's going to be so incredibly awesome. Maybe it is actually a relative of N, or something related to N, or just inspired by N. I mean, we're going to get more leaks that I will break down for you guys, so make sure to subscribe to the channel, and stay tuned for tomorrow's video. Jzard and I are going to do an awesome collab about some new Pokemon coming to the game. It's going to be a really fun one, so don't miss it. Also, check out the Discord. It is free to join in the description below, where we are actually running up a giveaway for Winds and Waves. It is completely 100% free to join. We just want to give back to you guys. We announced this for Pokemon Day because we thought the game was going to be releasing this year, so that's why we announced it so early. But we just figured, hey, we'll just keep running it up. If you are watching this far in the video, comment down below. Rock. Just the word rock. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.